Hi everybody, it's a beautiful day and it's an Orgonite day. I promised you a few months ago that I was going to make Orgonite and had to wait for a windless, warm day. As you know, it's been raining a lot, so I'm going to tell you what we need for our supplies if you're interested in making Orgonite. Start off you need a tablecloth. So wherever you're going to use, and I want you to do it outside, or if you do it in a garage, or indoors of any, use a mask. This one actually would, if there was something that was going around that was a pathogen, would actually take it out, not a flimsy mask. But you need that, and you need rubber gloves. So those three right off the bat. And then you need Bondo, which is fiberglass resin. I get this at Canadian Tire, Walmart. It's all over any car supply center. We'll get it as well. This stuff is brown, but we can change the color. It's kind of a smoky color, but we can actually make it quite beautiful. And the other things that you're going to need is you're going to need a mold, but you can use any type of a mold. I'm going to use a pyramid. And just because somebody who was evil used something like this does not make this evil. It just made the people who were using it evil, just to let you know. So we're gonna need a stirring bowl, something to stir with, and we are going to need some type of crystalline rock. You can use crystals, or you can, I just personally go around, pick up the stuff when I'm walking on the road and that, and I use it for that. But today we're going to use a piece that my daughter got me on my birthday 2 years ago to use in this, and so that's one we're going to use because it was given with love, and so it will have love. I feel that way anyway. So use any type of mold you want. This is the mold I'm going to use today, but I've used cookie sheet molds to make these. This was a little wine glass when I first, and I didn't really have anything. This was like a cupcake mold, you know. You can make them bigger. It doesn't matter what your mold is, but if you're using a mold, it's kind of good to use, unless it's one of those silicone molds. Those are really good, easy to use, but you can use some spray like Pam to make it so it doesn't stick. And you do need this. So these are kind of things that you absolutely have to have. Another thing is copper wire, dollar store. I think I got this at the, yeah, I did. I got this at the dollar store. And you're gonna need wire cutters, and you're gonna need something to work with that wire, okay? A spoon for measuring. And these are all dollar store products that I have used to add more. These are just rocks where they're colored. Again, this is sand that is colored, and sand is really good to put in there. The more metal and more sand that you put in a crystalline, this is just plain old sand, regular sand. It will add color, make it look pretty, whatever, but you don't have to do that. You can go and get just in your kid's sandbox, you know. It really doesn't matter. You can make it without. I'm gonna make it in layers, and I'm gonna make it a little bit fancy, but you can pour it all once. Just make this product, because this has such wonderful health benefits, and it's crazy easy, and it's a fun project. It's a fun project for the family. If your kids want to get involved, just make sure that they've got, you know, some type of a protective gear. And I usually have an apron on when I'm doing this too, because it can ruin your clothes. These ones I use for making coasters, and the coasters are great for putting your drinks on, and it energizes whatever you drink. Also, this is great for putting under your water jug, so that you will notice that if you make these, your everything seems more alive when what you eat and when you drink if you put these things on. So I think that's about it. Oh, I do also have copper metal because I'm an artist, and so I always have things like this. So I'm going to use this one in here, but you don't have to use that. Again, it's just adding more metal. It's the crystals and metal. Really what we're trying to do is we are trying to make piezoelectricity, right? So we're going to make everything tight, and that's what the Bondo does. Once we put it all, it squeezes these crystals and the metal with it, and it creates this wonderful piezoelectricity that is a very health benefit. So let's get started. So do not do your Orgonite if you're in a bad mood or if you're feeling sick. Do your Orgonite with a joyful heart. Put a blessing on this. Say a prayer. Put a blessing on this because it is energy. I'm going to be just throwing in a bunch of things. My daughter collected all of this stuff for me. And she thought it would be good for in my Orgonite. And she gave it to me with love. And so I'm going to be using that love in my Orgonite. I'm also going to be putting in some wound metal. And this is also going to conduct. Okay, so we're going to put in a whole bunch of stuff in here, along with we're going to wrap copper wire around a crystalline rock. You can use a full crystal, or you can pick them up like I do from the side of the road when you go on your walks. And we're going to use sand, which is ground crystal. So these are going to be the elements that we're going to be working with. I'm going to use some. In the second layer, I'm going to use some colored, just to add some. This is sand, colored sand. So that's what. In the first layer, I'm going to put in copper, powdered copper, just to add with these elements. The resin, fiberglass resin, the knickknacks of love, the copper wire, the sand, again the copper wire, the crystals, and the metal. That's what we're using. And I'm going to use a little bit of Pam on this. You have to be careful the amount that you use because it can leave spots. I've used olive oil too, it works. But we just want to put some, like I said, if you're using the other ones, the silicone molds and stuff, you don't need to do this. Just with these ones, because they do stick. Okay, so we are going to, got my gloves on, and we are going to put in, and this is where we're going to make the magic. Now we're going to add some of our coloring. So I'm going to use my copper because I want to have more metal in it. So you don't have to put very much. If you happen to have copper, you don't have to put very much in. So for this one, I'm going to just stir this. Yeah, and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful color. And this is going to be my first layer. We are going to take some of the hardener now. Read the label, but for the amount that I put in, I'm going to put in 10 drops. But like I said, read the label. Let's find one that is opened. That always helps. I don't want to have to open it. So. Add an extra drop there, but that's all right. But I would follow the instructions. This needs to have a good stir because that's the hardener. Okay. Because if you don't get that, then it will be soft and gross. Okay, so I want to just put this right in the middle. I'm trying to make it look pretty. And this is where my stone comes in. And you can see I did that. So if you do this, and you don't want to have that on there, just wipe it off a bit. And hopefully it will come off. Okay, So take your stone, stick it in. So there we are. I've got my wrapped stone in there and a whole bunch of love knickknacks that my daughter gave me. And we have the copper powder. You don't have to use that, but I like that. I've got the crystal and the resin. And we're just waiting for this to set. And then we're going to pour the last phase, because this is going to be a two-phased one, and the other one's going to be a different color. We're going to use the blue. Be back in a few minutes when it's hard enough to put on a top coat. Okay, let's test her. Ready for the next one. Now I'm just going to let you know, you don't need to do this in phases. You could have just made the full amount and it's ready right now. I wanted to be a little creative, so this is just for fun. This part doesn't need to be. This is just to give it some color. But again, this is sand, so that is still going to add with the metal. And you can put in another piece if you want to. This one, I'm going to make it really not large. Okay. Not as much. Okay. And I want to add a little bit more. Like I said, you don't need to do this. You could start off with this whole just one thing. You don't have to do this kind of stuff, this process that I'm doing. I just want to make it a little different. Okay, so we got this, and again, I don't know the one that is opened, and I'm going to add 10 drops again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go for a couple more, because last time it took a little while to harden. This part cannot be passed over. You really have to stir that stuff up. And this is why you need gloves. Okay. For me, for this one, it's going to be a 3-layer. The last layer is going to be like the first. That's it. And we will come back in about another 20 minutes and we'll make our final layer. Doing my last layer, and what I'm doing is I just put in the copper, but since I only have one bit of sand that I put in, or the crystal that I put in the very beginning, this time I'm going to add with the copper, and it's going to actually be the same thing. It's going to cause the same reaction. So I'm putting in sand because that's crystal and there's copper, and it's still going to create the piezoelectric. What we want, that is going to compress and cause a great energy. Now remember to put your hardener in. I've actually went through this phase, forgot to put my hardener in, put it in there, and just messed it right up. So. And this one has got a whole lot more, so I'm going to put in at least 12, if not more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's do that. There is an actual amount that you're supposed to put in, but I just found after doing this many, many times, I don't have to really measure. I kind of know how much we need. So there we go, and that's it. And we're going to let that set now for about an hour or more. It depends on how well it gets to be hardened. And hopefully, when we turn it over, it's going to come out. Well, there's the finished product. I did say an hour or two. I really meant a day or two drying before it will even come out of the mold. So blessings, everybody. I hope you enjoyed.
And when you put crystals inside the resin, the crystals have the ability to transmute this chaotic energy, which is unbalanced, and it turns positive. Work with frequencies, and frequencies are all around us, but some of those frequencies are negative, some frequencies are positive. We're always in a battle with the negative frequencies because they interfere with our electrical being. Since people are electrical, we respond to negative frequencies. Some people much more harshly, and others, well, they say that they don't even feel it. But everyone is affected by them. So an orgone generator gathers frequencies, especially the negative ones, but all frequencies. Because of the resin is an organic substance, it attracts the negative frequencies, and the metal inside it repels. So you have attraction repulsion at very high frequencies. And this is chaotic energy. This is unstructured energy. And when you put crystals inside the resin, the crystals have the ability to transform, transmute this chaotic energy, which is unbalanced, and the crystals have the ability to smooth it and balance it, and it turns positive. It becomes good, balanced frequencies, which all living things respond to positively. Plants, animals, humans want more of this good, balanced frequency because we're surrounded with too many negative frequencies.
Yep.
So anything that brings us into balance is helpful and beneficial. And essentially that's what these do.
Because you explained to me that not every single orgone you make that's going to turn out great. There's going to be failure ones.
Oh, okay. Well, I play classical music, and I get into a balanced mental state. I can't be disturbed. I can't be thinking seriously about a problem that's nagging me. It won't work very well. You should not be working with these energies when you're in that state. So you have to be in a good frame of mind, in a positive frame of mind. Then I do invocations to Saint Germain, and then I will soon know that I'm in the right frequency, in the right state of mind when I start working with him, because things don't fly out of my hand, or I don't drop them, or I don't spill resin, or all sorts of nasty things begin to happen. And when that happens, it's telling me that you're not in the right state of mind. Don't do it right now.
So you listen to that guidance?
I listen to that. Oh, yeah.
Do you think other orgone makers, they are aware of this?
I think most orgone makers actually are aware of that when they're working with these energies.
Yeah.
Not all of them, perhaps, but I think most of them are. You would not be attracted into working with these energies unless you are fairly stable and balanced yourself.